All right, today we're talking with one founder who is helping an old school legacy brick and mortar industry that is logistics, freight and logistics, to leverage new technology and new tools to help them to operate more efficiently in the 21st century. His name is Tristan Bordallo. I'll tell you more about him in a second, so stay tuned.
Welcome to the Smart Business Revolution podcast, where we feature top entrepreneurs, business leaders, and thought leaders and ask them how they built key relationships to get where they are today. Now, let's get started with the show.
All right, welcome everyone. John Corcoran here. I'm the host of this show. And every week we have a smart CEOs, founders, and entrepreneurs from all kinds of companies. And if you look at the archives, we've got Netflix and Grubhub and Redfin, Gusto, Kinko's, LendingTree, OpenTable, lots of great episodes for you to check out. And before we get into this episode is brought to you by Rise25, where we help businesses to give to and connect to their dream relationships and partnerships. How do we do that? We do that by helping you to run your podcast and content marketing. We are the easy button for any company to launch and run a podcast. We do three things: strategy, accountability, and full execution. And we even invented what some are calling the Wix of B2B podcasting. It's our platform, Podcast Copilot. So to learn more about that, go to our website, rise25.com, or email our team at support@rise25.com. All right. And my guest here today is Tristan Bordallo. He's the founder and CEO of Fr8topia and I Am Freight, which are two fast-growing asset-based and logistics companies. They prioritize transparency and a driver-first culture. And Tristan's got a background in freight brokerage. We'll talk in a moment about how he got into that. It was something close to home. And an interesting guy because he's helping truck industry to leverage new tools and technology, like I mentioned in the preview there. And Tristan, I'm so excited to talk about this stuff with you because I think this is an interesting topic in this age that we live in right now, when there's so much fascination with tech. You're in an industry that has been around for quite a long time, will be for a long time, but at the same time is being affected by a lot of these things. And so you were born in the Philippines, came over here at a young age, and we were talking beforehand about some of the things that affected you. One of the things was that you had cousins who lived here, who had been born here, who called you derogatory names because you didn't talk like them, which is hilarious to me because we're both Californians here. Like you sound as Californian as they come, right? So it's hilarious to me that was driving you at a young age.
Yeah, you cut out there a little bit, but it's okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that stuck with me, trying to speak perfect English. I came here when I was 8 years old, and yeah, it's funny that you said that because it's not derogatory. It's called FOB, right? Fresh off the boat, and I definitely had an accent. So try to for years not to get rid of that accent, and so that's why I sound so Californian. I guess I assimilated pretty well.
Mission accomplished, man. I mean, like I would have guessed that you weren't born and bred in Southern California. So, and let's talk about also you were a kid who figured out that you were interested in sales at a young age, even to the point where you were selling your lunch tickets in high school.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up poor, and so I had lunch tickets, and that was one of my ways to make money because lunch tickets aren't worth anything. I'd rather forego lunch for some money.
So you sell them to other kids, and then you would just not eat.
Yeah,
wow.
And then it's I could eat at home.
Wow,
that's part of that's the hustle.
Yeah, and you also were reselling shoes.
Yeah. So back in college, I used to, back before the internet days and the long lines. I mean, I had friends that worked at Val Surf, and we would get those Nike Dunks, or like Jordans they were sold at Sports Chalet. I don't know if I'm aging myself, but I
went to Val Surf. So I also grew up in the San Fernando Valley, so I know these locations.
Yeah, 118 board shop. I had friends that had worked at Val Surf, and so I knew all of the stores. I'd go buy the Dunks from size 8 to size like 11, and then sell them on eBay and make 2X, 3X. It was pretty cool.
Wow. Now you went to Cal State Northridge and you grew up in this area, I believe, right? Santa Clarita Valley area. This is just north
Uh-huh.
of San Fernando Valley. Were you there when the Northridge earthquake happened?
Oh yeah. It was what was that, 1993 or the summer of
93 or
19?
94, yeah.
It was
Uh-huh.
just, I think, no, it was the summer of 1993.
Yeah.
It was scary. Yeah, we were back then. My mom had just moved us from Highland Park, and we were in an apartment that uh, almost fell. It was that earthquake was super strong. I
It
remember
was.
knocking it. I like literally knocked me out of my bed,
Yeah.
and the house that we had bought was a one-story house that my mom bought, and we were waiting for it to be built. So we were living in the apartment at the time. And it was hard for us to even get out of the apartment because we couldn't even open the door.
Wow.
And I remember the sliding doors all shattered. So that's how we had to get
Wow.
out because the building was like literally leaning.
Wow.
Remember
Wow.
the 5 freeway, I think or the 14, it actually collapsed.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
right. It
So
was
that
right
was,
near there. There was a big section of the freeway that collapsed, like really high. I think a police officer died.
died.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, my mom had always worked really hard, and she worked in downtown. And she would have, she would rent a hotel room with her friends, and so she didn't have to travel back and forth. So imagine
Wow.
3 kids. I was going into ninth grade. My brother was going into 10th. My sister was sixth grade, and we were living all by ourselves. And the
Wow.
earthquake happened. Pretty crazy.
So she wasn't
She
there
wasn't
when
even,
there's been.
dude. Yeah, she wasn't
Wow.
there. So we had to,
Wow.
that's why I guess we learned we grew up pretty fast.
I mean, that's like beyond latchkey kid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that'd be considered child abuse today.
Today, right, right. I mean, but also just I guess one way of looking at it is you grew up fast. The other way is like you're just mom wasn't around, so that must have been really hard for you. And you're in a new country. You'd been there. Well, I guess at that point you'd been there for, a number of years, but still a difficult adjustment.
It was always like that. We're used
Yeah.
to my mom saying, "Okay, here's $20. You guys stretch it out. Well, I'll be
Mm.
back next week."
Wow.
Um, I remember $40 was our grocery
Mm.
budget.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, that's what
So
entrepreneurs do. We
so
we have a
yeah.
crappy life. We
Well, a
figure it
lot of
out.
times, people get interested in sales because they want to put money in their pockets, right? And so you got into selling Cutco knives and cell phones and bank accounts, and you sold jeans. Is that how you got into, sales and working was just because you wanted money?
Yeah, I mean, sales was the easiest path. I wasn't very academic, or it didn't interest me at all. My brother was different. He loved going to school. As my sister, same thing. She's a nurse practitioner, and my brother's this math whiz. And I was just like I just was bored. So
Yeah.
I thought, okay, I don't have those skills. I'm not going to be able to get a job. I'm not going to be a doctor. I'm not going to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
So sales was it for me. So
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty good. I always made friends at school, so I thought it'd be easy to just connect with people.
And you also had what I thought was a pretty cool job. You were the photographer outside of Magic Mountain, which is an amusement park in Southern California. You guys just stop people as you're walking by and get a picture, that kind of thing. Was there sales involved in that too? Like trying to get people to trying to sell it, or was it just take a snap, a photo real quick?
Well, it was my first real job that it was based on your outcome. And so it was commission based. So if I didn't know what KPIs were back then, but the KPI was you had to shoot 6 films, 6 rolls of film. Because back then it was all
Yeah.
film. And
Yeah.
imagine that, like you
The
gotta,
24 or
yeah,
36
you gotta
frames.
wind it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I'd have blisters because after you did
Oh,
six, you'd get $1 for each one after. So it was like, it's commission. It's basically commission, right?
Yeah.
So yes, any chance I could shoot 25 or 30. I mean, back then, even an extra $20 for the night made a big difference, right?
Yeah.
And we knew we could hit those numbers Friday, Saturday, and Sunday,
Yeah.
or even Thursday nights, right? You can,
Yeah.
because back then, Magic Mountain was open, like
Yeah.
from like 9 a.m. all the way to like, and it was tiring. It was because
Yeah.
after that
Long day.
we had to develop our film too, and
Oh, wow.
then we cut it out, right? and then we
Uh-huh.
get to sell it at the end. So
So you did
it's a
all that.
hustle. Yeah,
Wow.
it was a
Wow.
hustle. And then if you shoot the most roles, the owner of the company also did concerts. And I remember I went to, I couldn't afford going to concerts. I went to a Janet Jackson concert, and all I did was shoot. And
Mm.
you shoot before the concert, and then you get to watch the concert.
Oh, take pictures of people walking in, like the same
Yeah.
thing, like to
And
get
then
pictures with them.
afterwards, they sell those, and then it was a company called Periscope.
Oh, wow. Cool business
Yeah,
model. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
I wonder if those companies if they're more profitable or less profitable after the switch to digital, because on the one hand, they save money on chemicals and development and stuff like that. But on the other hand, there was something about when you went through one of those things and then you saw that glossy, like printed out on paper on the wall. And it's like, well, they're just going to throw this out. I might as well buy it, you know?
Yeah.
Curious about that.
Well, no, I know. I think like every other business, technology comes in,
Yeah.
and they didn't need us to probably shoot. They just they could probably you could do more, and who's going to want to shoot film, right? Like we
Yeah.
used to get roles,
Yeah.
and it was I think that's what we were motivated to do, and now it's like when you're shooting, like you could shoot gazillions on one camera.
Yeah. Yeah, for
I don't know
sure.
what the KPIs would look like, but
No,
yeah,
it's, it's not
and
roles anymore.
you weren't able to. The funny thing was you couldn't take a picture while they were walking. He would know, like, okay, that doesn't count.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you get
Yeah.
so you really had to sell them to stay still.
Yeah.
You can't take pictures of trees or nothing, just to
Or
wish a
the
roll.
ground or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the ground.
Yeah.
You had to
Yeah.
take pictures of real people, or you can't take their backs, right?
Yeah. 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 All right. I want to ask you about your best friend, still your best friend to this day. His father was successful. Um, I don't know what that level of success was. Maybe it was the 90s, right? So maybe he was driving a Jaguar or something like that, or a Lexus or something along those lines. But what was it that you were like, I want to know what this guy does, and you end up asking him what he did.
Yeah, I mean, my best friend Jeremy, he's what I love about him is no matter how successful his dad was, he's just a cool kid, and we
Yeah.
got along pretty well. And he was driving a his mom's M3 to school, and
Wow.
he had a I think it was a Pathfinder, it's a
Yeah.
or a Honda, whatever the Honda was. I'm like, gosh, I I had a 1986 Nissan Stanza that I had to wait till my brother graduated so I could drive it my
Mm.
junior year.
Yeah.
So like his dad was super successful in brokerage. He started in brokerage before anyone, in the 90s. So that wasn't a thing back then. And he just did really well for himself. And I wanted that lifestyle because I didn't want to wear a suit and a tie. And I just, and we talk about success. I mean, he has an awesome house in Malibu.
Mm.
And it's,
So you turn to his dad one day and you say, "What do you do to pay for all this?"
yeah, because I would go on, I remember sophomore year, he's like, hey, Tristan, go snowboarding with me, go to summer camp. I was like, summer camp, like at Mount Hood to go snowboarding. And I'm like,
Mm.
so my whole entire life, like Jeremy would have the best,
Amazing. Yeah.
amazing life. Like he would go to Costa. He's like, dude, just pay your ticket. You can stay with us at Costa Rica. And, I'd go with them to, like when we went snowboarding, it was like ski in, ski out at Salt Lake City.
Mm.
Right. And I was like,
Wow. Wow.
what is it that you guys do? And so, and his dad was never dressed in a suit. Right.
Mm.
Like, and, and that's what I was attracted to. And so I asked, and it was brokerage. And I was like, what is that? Because, we all know real estate. We all know,
Yeah.
Wall Street brokerage, but this brokerage it's different. I was like, wow, I like this. I like this. And then it's residual income, right?
Mm.
People are constantly shipping.
And so, did he then take you under his wing after that? Did he, what happened next after you asked him about it?
Yeah, no, he always thought always had a good personality for it, and that I'd be successful. And Jeremy and I graduated. He graduated from USC. I went to CSUN. I went to all the USC parties though that Jeremy went to. And I remember asking him, like, what are you going to do? after your year of traveling is over. And so he had this whole trip planned, and I only went to 2 months of it backpacking Europe, but he took off for a whole year. And
Mm.
he'd come back with no job. I was working at I forgot, maybe the bank or and then I was like, when he came back from his trip, I said, let's go work for your dad. And we asked his dad, and he didn't actually train us. He had someone train. And
He didn't want to be the one to train you.
no way, because
Yeah.
I actually got fired, man, the first 2 weeks because I was with Jeremy. We went to go like our first 2 weeks. We thought we ran the company. We were very cocky kids, right? Like,
Hmm.
and we got fired, and because we went back in the days, you'd have to go buy tickets. There was a ticket master. Do you remember the ticket masters?
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
We had this idea that we could go from San Pedro to downtown LA for our 1 hour break to go buy the tickets to this rave. Yeah, we get stuck in traffic. We don't come back for 2.5 hours.
Oh, uh-huh. So you got fired.
We got fired. I had to beg for my job back. But yeah, I really learned a lot doing that, and I hustled my way. I proved that I just focused on building my account base, and then in 3 months, I asked to be a 1099, and that's when I started my entrepreneur journey.
So you said you wanted to be a 1099 because you wanted more control over your commissions and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, when you're a W-2, you have to stay in the office, and I talked to some of the outside sales reps, and I go, wow, that's a way better lifestyle. I'm able to
Hmm.
get out of the office. I don't have to pound these calls. I can go out because his dad also had a business partner that required us to have to make those calls.
Okay.
Um, and so as soon as I landed a few accounts that I thought I could be self-sustainable, I jumped on the chance to get 1099 to be 1099 because when am
Yeah.
I ever going to have a chance to be this young, to have no responsibilities, to go out and try it and risk it. So it wasn't that much of a risk anyways.
So you did this for a number of years, kind of building your reputation, and eventually you go to work for Covenant, and this is kind of like, I believe the structure here is kind of like you buying a franchise within Covenant, which is doing brokerage as well.
Yeah, so it's an agency model. Covenant is a publicly traded company that has their own assets. So they have their trucks. But in 2009 and right around like 2004, 5, 6, there was a lot of brokerages. So a lot of trucking companies that own assets wanted to get into the brokerage space. So they said, so that's what they did. They started, it's called an agency program. It's just
Hmm.
like a franchise, but there's not an upfront fee, but there is a book of business that you had to have before. Back then, you had to have 500 to $1 million in book of business in order to have an agency, because Covenant wasn't going to take a risk on you to just be a sales rep. You actually had to be established.
Does that mean
And
you took that with you from Diversified?
yeah, I mean, the full truckload side, right? Like, because diversified was LTL. There's so many things in trucking. If you're not in trucking, you know there's LTL, then there's truckloads, and then there's air freight, and then there's international, then there's rail. There's so many different types of brokerages, and then there's drayage brokerage. So we wanted to focus on full truckloads. I didn't for the first 5 years. I learned LTL, and I turned down a lot of full truckload business, and that's why we partnered up with Covenant, because at the end of the day, we weren't really there was no conflict of interest. We were doing LTL still with diversified. So I still had my diversified accounts, but then I was
Got it.
building my truckloads, because anyone that does LTL is also doing full truckloads too.
Okay.
So I was able to
So
get that business up and running right away.
got it. Okay. And you do that for about 9 years, and at some point you decide to part ways. Was that a difficult decision? Because you actually had to do a non-compete after that. Is that correct?
Yeah. So my business partner, we met on the sales floor at Diversified Transportation, and we also started Covenant together. Joined our books so that we can, qualify to become an agent. And so, things were awesome. I mean, I made more money than I ever thought I'd ever make in my whole entire life. It was good for me. And it was just something about being 40. I turned 40 in 2018. And I just felt like I wanted legacy. I didn't want to be under the brand of Covenant. And I just wanted to do my thing. And my business partner said, all right, you could do that. And you just signed a non-compete and for 1 year. And the funny
Does that
thing
mean
is
you
that
couldn't do anything in freight and trucking for that period of
no,
time?
no, no.
No,
I mean,
okay. It's just
because
certain
look,
times.
look, you're not competing. If you're a brokerage with an asset-based company, you're not really you're not really competing because it's
Okay.
a totally different type of uh, customer that wants assets versus
Hmm.
the brokerage model. So I wasn't really stepping on his toes. Now, the funny thing was I wanted to start a brokerage too. And Covenant being a Christian company, they didn't haul alcohol.
Mm.
And so I was like, well, I'm just gonna start a brokerage just to do alcohol. So yeah, I landed. The funny thing is, I landed, which is still my account today, a big wine account.
Mm.
So I still have them. I
Mm.
met them on the airport on the way to go see my full truckload customer
Hmm.
in Portland. So I was.
Just
It's just
randomly at the airport?
it was so it's such I get so lucky.
Yeah.
Returning my rental car.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It's
Not even at a conference or anything like that?
Nope.
Oh.
They
Hmm.
came from a conference. It was a wine
Oh.
conference, and we were flying back down to LA. And I was
Did they
like,
have like something that you saw that like reason that you said something or anything like that?
the fun. Believe it or not, I was like saving. I was hoarding water from my hotel because I get like 2 waters a day, and I was
Uh,
like, I can't drink all this water, and then I can't even take it with me. So I literally had like 6 bottles of water, and they roll up right behind me at the right
Rental
behind me
car.
when
Yeah.
we rental car return,
Yeah.
and I go, hey, you guys want water? And then I gave them, they took my water, they drank some of it, and we started talking, and then we end up in the elevator together, just start talking some more. And I asked what they were doing. They asked me what I was doing, and I knew the carrier that they were working with because that somehow come up. And I go, hey, I'm a carrier, and then I showed them pictures of my trucks, and then
Hmm.
from then it was just game on. Like
Yeah.
they that trust and that and funny thing was they're at flying Alaska. So we were hanging out the whole time, waiting and just talking. It
Oh,
was
that's
so
great.
amazing. So I get lucky, you know. I mean,
So I am freight. So two different businesses, Fr8topia and I am freight. I am freight is asset based, meaning you own the trucks. Was that difficult to, or were you familiar with that model from before? But to me, in my uninformed mind, to me it seems like, holy crap, you're buying a bunch of trucks. That seems very expensive to put that together.
oh yeah, I started with 3, and I've never done it before. I don't even drive a truck. I just thought it'd be a way better.
Because
I'd be
how
in a
much
way.
are these trucks? How much does these trucks cost?
At that time, they were 140. I couldn't even
Okay.
buy a trailer, right? I couldn't even buy a trailer.
So we're talking like $400,000 worth of trucks to buy 3 trucks.
Yeah, I mean the loan total was like 450,000. Plus I
Oh,
had to pay 10% down um, for my first 3 trucks, and then find the drivers to operate it.
right. Yeah. Yeah. And then what if a
uh,
driver doesn't show up on Monday morning?
yeah, it was like, oh man, it was, ignorance is, I think, one of my the thing that worked for me the best is because I didn't know what I didn't know, and so I just went about it and just do what I always do, just hustle, make it work. And I had a customer that was willing to support me. I was actually hauling their trailers. So I couldn't even afford a trailer. By the way, like you
Mm,
can't do anything with a tractor without a trailer, right? Like
yeah.
they disconnect. So I I knew going into it it was going to be really, really tough, but I didn't know.
Mm,
But if I knew now what I know, there's no way in the world I could have started it
mm.
because there's so much involved, so much risk,
And
so much
it's
costs,
regulated and yeah.
highly
Yeah.
regulated,
Yeah.
especially being in California. And
Yeah.
I actually chat GPT'd this, and it said California is the hardest state to run a trucking company. And I
Mm.
went, wow, that's crazy. Like, imagine if I had chat GPT back then. There was no
Hmm.
way in the world I would have launched this company because I would have had too much information. So
Yeah.
I like being dumb because
Yeah.
it's literally the best. It's like my superpower. Like if I
Yeah.
don't know, I'm just gonna go. It's like
There's your headline for your book, by the way. Being
yeah,
dumb is my superpower. I like
yeah.
that.
It was like even back in my surfing days or like snowboarding days. I'm like, why is no one out today?
Oh yeah, because it's storming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that it's like you're never gonna find out if you don't F around. So,
Yeah.
um,
So let's talk a little bit about tools and technology because I previewed that in the beginning of this episode. How do you see new tools and new technology coming along and affecting your industry?
well, right now, I advise and a venture partner for Blue Impact Supply Chains, and it's a really awesome experience because I get to use my founder market fit to to see what can help our industry because there's a lot of tools for brokerages, right? Brokerages are the pretty side of the business, but the ones doing the hard work is a carrier. There's not a lot of tools, and a lot of the owners are usually truck drivers that
Kind of work their
are
way up.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
operations guy. They're
Yeah.
I mean they're hands on.
Yeah.
They're not really looking. They work super hard.
They don't have an
Uh,
accounting degree.
yeah, working
Yeah.
smart is something
Yeah.
that they lack, and so it's awesome to be able to look at the new tools today and see what I can use because now that I'm operating in their shoes, I get to see, okay, this tool will work a lot better and help us to be more efficient.
Hmm.
And the biggest thing is the reason why there's a broker is because we lack the technology. But we're the ones doing the hard work. I mean, a broker could never ever deliver freight. They just can't physically because they don't have a truck. They have to
Hmm.
use our truck or they have to trick us into doing their loads, right? And I could say that because I used to do that all the time. Like I had no idea that I got the customer. You want to haul for my customer? Well, give me your truck. It's a horrible situation, right? Like I think about I was owning these trucks have made me become like a born again broker, really using that lens of wow, this is hard stuff. Like if you
Yeah.
want quality carriers, you've got to treat these guys right.
Because
And what?
usually the broker and the carrier have more of an adversarial relationship, but now you are have sat in both seats.
Yeah, I've lived in both seats, right? And so I look at it with a different lens in terms of the technology and the reason why a carrier can't go straight to a shipper that requires you to have the technology or the flexibility and the capacity. Like it's so fragmented that if I could get a group of carriers together, it doesn't have to be a bunch. And you'll see Uber doing it now. Oh, we have 100,000 carriers in our network. Like everyone is talking about this 100,000, 40,000 carrier network, which is I call bullshit, right? Because it's like you can't manage that many carriers anyways, right? And that's why there's fraud. I mean, you look at today's world of freight, you'll see fraud everywhere because
Mm,
that's what we did. We ran all the great carriers out because we don't understand their costs.
mm.
We only understood that we can get the customer, and you guys are going to haul for us forever. And and one of my biggest missions in doing this is trying to find the tools that will enable a carrier of any size to be able to compete with brokers. And that's what
Doesn't
I'm
that act against your own interests since you still have a brokerage?
Yeah, I don't care. I'm willing to go out of business. And if I'm going to go out of business, I'm going to put myself out of business.
Well, but why do that though? I guess just to be devil's advocate here. I mean,
It's
it sounds like
it's just how I look at it. Right? Like I honestly, yeah, no, it honestly, John, it's really simple, right? Like the people doing the hard work should have the ability to service those customers. And if they could do it together and make more money, because they're at the end of the day, they're the ones doing the hard work. And as a brokerage, I do feel a little guilty about taking advantage of the capacity and the risk because I know what that risk is like. I know what that expense looks like. I know what that heartache looks like.
Mhm.
And it's the most crooked way to do business is to the ones exploiting the ones doing that hard work. And I mean I that's my mission right now is to try to level make it an even level playing field
Yeah.
and for those that want that type of capacity, and why not? They should be able to get it. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. And then what is it like? for you, you've sat in the carrier seat, you sat in the broker seat for many years, you've done sales, been all around this industry, and now you're in venture capital working in this industry. And what's that like shifting to that role?
It's definitely being like curious about the money side. I understand like there's also um like politics that sometimes are like, wow. I mean, and it helps me understand, okay, that's why a specific company did that.
Mm,
Or but you could use it for good too, right? Like there's a lot of and that's why I chose Blue Impact, is because I feel that they're different in a way that they're looking at the long game,
hmm
and the tools that they are building are more sustainable. So like helping the carrier side,
hmm
right?
hmm
Because there's a long line to the brokerage space.
hmm
There's a short line to the carriers because like
Yeah.
they forget about the carriers.
Yeah.
So
And you also designed your own app,
yeah.
that designed to serve the carriers. Talk about that.
Being part of entrepreneurs organization, you run into a lot of smart people,
Hmm
and we in my forum group, we have an AI guy and one developer.
Uh,
And so we just, learned how to do it on our own by
yeah.
putting our minds together, and we just design our own apps now through
Mm,
AI as an agent. But we obviously have to understand the infrastructure, like what's the where do we get the database? How is it set up? Is it on Python, right? Like
hmm
it's pretty cool. Like I didn't know coding was this like so much work was
A lot of work.
involved, but
Yeah. Yeah.
AI made it so much easier
It is.
where
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
said, holy crap. And even the developers that I talked to are saying, wow, I can't believe you could do this with what you just, because I showed it to a
Yeah.
couple of friends of mine, and it's like 90% there. It's not a completely, and if I'm just using it for myself, like, why not?
Yeah.
Because
It's,
it actually works. Like I don't need to have mass.
yeah.
I'm not trying to sell it to anyone. I mean,
Yeah.
I just want to give myself the tools to be more efficient, to be,
Yeah.
and the process of learning how it works. Because before I used to be impatient with a lot of companies going, I need this to look like this. And I didn't realize how the back end looked. But now I'm
Yeah.
like, again, like I'm a born again, tech guy.
Yeah. Well, it's
uh,
fascinating how someone like yourself, who's got years of experience, substantive experience in an industry, can take that and then turn it into a tool that can, yeah, help with financial understanding or speed up operations or whatever it is. It's really cool. It's almost like these layers that insulated or that made it difficult to create these solutions are kind of melting away right now.
Yeah, it's because I feel, who is better to design an app for the industry, because I see a lot of tech people come in our space,
Yeah.
and all
And
they're
they don't
doing
know
is,
the industry.
yeah, and they're
Yeah.
interviewing, right? Like
Yeah.
they think they could solve it with one or two or three or five or 20 interviews
Yeah.
with founders,
Yeah.
but they're not living in the trenches. And
Yeah.
so I felt like maybe I could design something even easier. And instead of spending my time talking to a tech guy to try to help him build his product, I love the fact that I could just do it by myself. Now I could build
It's so
MVPs.
cool.
Like I
Yeah.
literally built two MVPs in the
Yeah.
last like month and a half. And
Oh yeah, me too. I mean, I have a son who's struggling with reading and writing a little bit right now, and so I created a more engaging like quiz app for him to help with writing that was more interesting and tailored to his interests. So it mentions his name, it mentions his friend's name, mentions things he's interested in, and I find it's a lot more engaging. It's so fun to be able to do these sorts of things.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
insane. It's like an addiction as far as trying to solve your own problems. Like
Yeah.
I even want to, like I was thinking, what am I struggling with on a daily basis that I could just, and just to go through the process, right? It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
to sell
Yeah.
this app to make money. And eventually I know it's going to help me in my business, and I could stitch it up with other things.
Yeah.
But in all reality, it's just about the process of how it actually works. Cause it's moving so fast and I don't want to be left behind. You know, I'm already 47. But I still have a 11-year-old and a 13-year-old. I still need to be able to provide and try to figure out what to do and help them, my kids, to see what guys, you guys got to do this before the robots take your job. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to say that.
Tristan, this has been great. Where can people go to learn more about you? And you have a new podcast as well that's coming out very soon.
Yeah. So wait on that. The podcast is probably going to launch here in the next week or two. I could be found on LinkedIn, and awesome. That's it. Tristan Bordallo. I'm only on LinkedIn.
And Blue Impact Supply Chain Ventures is one of them, and I Am Freight and Fr8topia.
And Adventure CPG as well.
Adventure CPG. You got lots of things you're involved in. Awesome.
And EO.
And EO. Yeah, Tristan. All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Business Revolution podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.